Welcome to the show. We are Unsportsmanlike here on ESPN Radio. ESPN2, we are presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting your business vehicles 24/7. See if you can save at progressivecommercial.com. Highlights, Westwood 1, NCAA, a radio network. The Florida Gators, the defending champs, are out of the men's side of the NCAA tournament. They are the only number one seed out, as we have 3 1s, 4 2s, 2 3s, 3 4s, a 5, 6, 9, and 11 in the Sweet 16 of the NCAA tournament. Along with Michelle Smallman, Chris Canty, Evan Cohen with you. Good morning, everybody.
Yeah, I'm disgusted that one of those 6 seeds made it in. My Virginia Cavaliers had a shot late, but Nate Ahmet, a future lottery pick, was absolutely awesome down the stretch for Tennessee. And Rick Barnes, phenomenal coach. Can't say enough about him.
I guess I'm the last one standing for Unsportsmanlike. Nuno's UNC Tar Heels, out. Evans, Wisconsin Badgers, out. Your Virginia Cavaliers, close, but out. My Fighting Illini advanced to the Sweet 16. Second time in 3 years.
Congrats. You feel good about them? I guess you should, right?
I'm in a glass case of emotion about this because they have looked awesome so far in the tournament. Awesome. They've got the size. They've got the skill. I think Brad Underwood's a great coach. But every year, I buy in. And every year, they break my heart. So I'm going into this with optimism and excitement, but also we're trying to temper it because Houston is a very good team.
But were they supposed to be a Sweet 16 team, Illinois, this year? You think so? Okay,
Definitely.
So then they're where they should be, which is a good thing.
They are. I mean, they're awesome. I mean, Merkovich be out there hooping, and then Wagler, we know about him, freshman phenom. He has been absolutely awesome all season long and has not disappointed in the tournament. So, yeah, I mean, Illinois is a legitimate team. They're a legitimate team to make it to the Final Four. I got to big up your squad, Smalls.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like where they're at. I mean, you are the orange and blue cousin that didn't disappoint the family this weekend.
We are related.
There you go.
Well, speaking of orange and blue, the Gators are
disappoint.
out. Yeah, they're out. How do we feel about calling them the defending champs? Even though they are, it's like, oh, the defending champs went down. If you look at that roster from last year, it's not the same roster as this year.
Same laundry.
Same laundry, right. And so it's a little bit tricky to say, like, oh, my God, I can't believe they got eliminated. Yeah, Iowa, give them all the credit in the world for a game winning a shot late. But there is some controversy around this because Todd Golden, head coach at Florida, he was there last year, national champion, talked about the fact that the same guy who hit the game-winning shot for Iowa possibly should have been ejected earlier in the game for throwing a punch. Here is Todd Golden's explanation as to why Alvaro Folgueras wasn't ejected. And by the way, he's the guy that hit the game winner.
Yeah, I was told that they threw a punch, but it didn't connect, so it didn't go any higher than a flagrant one. I'm not exactly sure what that means, and I really still don't understand why Kondo got a technical. They're both fighting for the ball equally. Kondo was just stronger and pulled him down to the floor, but they were both grabbing the ball, and so it was a confusing play, and I'm not really sure how that landed on that result.
So the rule is you can throw a punch as long as it doesn't connect? I'm confused here. And obviously, we don't know how the game would play. If he was ejected, there's a chance that Iowa still wins the game. We don't know. But that's an odd one, right?
That is strange. I thought once you throw a punch, whether it connects or not, it's an automatic ejection.
I would think so, too, because of intent.
Sure.
Now, it wasn't like they're squaring up to fight. It was a loose ball on the ground, that kind of thing. It was a little weird in that regard in terms of how they look at it. But the same guy who threw that,
it's literally fighting for a loose ball.
Yeah, fighting. Yeah. Exactly right. Exactly right. So again, we don't know how the game would play out that way. And Todd Golden obviously looks at it and says, "Well, that's the explanation they gave me." But Iowa, to their credit, Ben McCollum, their head coach, does a great job. He's a multi-time Division II national champion, and Iowa now advances past the national champs, and we have Iowa and Nebraska. An old Big 8, it feels like, or like it just feels like an old school kind of, I guess not Big 8, but it feels like an old school.
We'd be excited if it was football.
Yeah, an old school football matchup is what it feels like.
Right,
but give them, Iowa, Nebraska, Illinois, and Houston. That just feels like you're going to get beat up in that region is what that feels like in the South. Duke, St. John's, Michigan State, UConn in the East, Arizona, Arkansas, Texas, Purdue in the West, Michigan, Alabama, Tennessee, and Iowa State in the Midwest. Now, the main game that I would say yesterday, just because of the scheduling and how they put every game late at night, which I don't understand for the life of me, and I will continue to complain about this as an old man. But Kansas and St. John's had that primetime standalone 5:15 p.m. Eastern game, and St. John's ended up winning on a last-second game-winning layup by Dylan Darling. Those were his only 2 points of the game. Smalls is laughing and shaking her head because it's crazy some of these stats you bring up around the NCAA tournament. Like only 2 points, game winner against Kansas. But wait, there's more, because who called that play with 0 points? No, it wasn't Rick Pitino. It was Dylan Darling, the point guard. Take a listen to what Pitino had to say post-game.
Here's the amazing thing and the funniest thing I've ever been involved with. So we're going to run a play, but they got fouls to give. And Bells comes up to me and says, run power, which is a high back screen pick and roll. So I walk away. I said, okay, power. I walk away and said, wait a second. He hasn't scored a bucket, and he wants to run a play for himself. And I'm thinking, as I'm walking, I said, but he's Bells. And not only did he do it, he went with his right hand.
Can you imagine saying that to Rick Pitino? I wouldn't even be comfortable enough to talk to Pitino.
To any coach, let alone Rick Pitino.
Yeah, that's what. Run the play for me. I don't have any points.
He was right, though.
I know, but that's wild.
Well, it just goes to show you, man. I mean, in those moments, especially in clutch time tournament play, your guards, your ball handlers have to be the ones to take over the game, right? Zuby Ejiofor, who is the guy for St. John's, who has some experience being in March Madness and his team being in the tournament, he's the one that's the star player, the cornerstone for everything that Rick Pitino wants to do. Down the stretch, he missed the bunny at the rim, he missed the three-pointer that was wide open, and he had a bad turnover. So, yeah, it's in those moments, the final 3 minutes of the game, where you're looking for somebody to be the catalyst, because Kansas has clawed themselves back in that game after being down double digits as late as 10 minutes to go in the game. And so the fact of the matter is they needed somebody to make a play, and when you're in the huddle in those timeouts, you want somebody that has the confidence that even though they hadn't made a shot all game, that they can make the play to get their team on the right side of the outcome, and that was Bells last night. Dylan Darling did a phenomenal job of being able to get into the rim and had an amazing finish, and that ends up being the game winner. So, yeah, I give all the credit to the kid in that moment, but you also have to give a tremendous amount of credit to Slick Rick for entrusting him, even though there wasn't a whole lot of evidence in the first 38 minutes of the game that would suggest that he could make that play.
Oh, there was no evidence.
Exactly.
No evidence at all. But you're right. His confidence in his player in that moment and Darlene's confidence in himself, that's who you want to have the ball in that moment. Someone who's saying, I don't care what happened before this. I have the confidence in myself to execute, and the moment is not going to be too big for me. And he was right. I can't believe he was right, but he was right. And gosh, that was such a thriller. That was one of those games where you're like, this is why we love March, because I had no rooting interest in that game other than my bracket. And you cannot step away from the TV. You are so locked in. You're so compelled. And the Johnnies are a dangerous team moving forward. I mean, they only shot 36% from the field. They basically coughed up a 14-point lead. They somehow found a way to stay in it. Their defense shut down Kansas, and they found a way, even against all odds, to pull out the victory. I'm very interested to see what happens with them moving forward.
Well, I think we got to give Dylan Darling the Marriott NCAA Tournament Performance of the Day. Unsportsmanlike, brought to you by Marriott Bonvoy. Traveling for game day, make Marriott Bonvoy your home base for pregame moments and postgame stories like the one we're talking about with Dylan Darling of St. John's. Marriott Bonvoy, where game day checks in.
Where are we at with Darren Peterson?
What? That was going to be my next question.
Where are we at with him? Because I tell you, man, he got a lot of skills. He got a lot of tools in his bag. Now, he didn't shoot it well. He didn't shoot it well yesterday, but the dude can get to the rim at will. It doesn't matter if you throw double teams, triple teams out. It doesn't matter. Like, he has every tool in his arsenal. He is explosive. He is wiry. I see why people compare him to Kobe Bryant. It's giving that when you watch him on the court. Now, you would like him to step up and make some more shots down the stretch, but in terms of his ability to get anywhere he wants to on the court, I left that game impressed with his athletic ability and his skill set.
Yeah, I can see that for part of the game. The other parts of the game, I was a little confused by him because it's like there was a moment in the second half where they were down double digits. We're like, oh, okay, he may take this thing over. And that could be his moment for him. I think the first thing I want to do is get him a shoe deal because I can't deal with the low top black low tops. That drives me. I don't know why. I'm telling you, it actually stands out when I'm watching him. I'm like, I want to get him a shoe deal, this guy, which I'm sure he probably already has.
Yeah.
But I think they are. Seth Greenberg, who's going to join us in an hour, ESPN college basketball analyst, said it best. They play to him and not with him. You get the feeling when he's on the court, it's like, oh, he's on the court, give him the ball. I don't get the feel that they're in a. I think this was just a pointless year for him.
Yeah, it
just
was.
Get to the pros.
It was a stepping stone.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
And it didn't make sense for Kansas.
He's the reason why they should allow players to go straight from high school to the NBA, if they so choose. Mm-hmm. And I know they have the G League and developmental opportunities, but players, if they can't play in the NBA, they'll take a year of college basketball with a 7-figure NIL deal, and they'll call it a day. They'll call it a wash, and they'll use that as, I don't want to say a gap year, but a prep year for when the games actually matter in their minds, which is playing in the NBA. So he's the example of why you should be allowed to go from high school to the pro, because that kid is plenty good enough to go and contribute to an NBA team. He's that talented. The movement skills are off the chart. It's clear when you're watching that game against St. John's yesterday that there are 9 other players on the court that move completely different than that one dude.
He's a step above.
He's that one dude.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Even though he didn't have a great game, you could see it. You could see why people are saying that's the number 1 overall pick. I know there are a lot of concerns about the sports character and not being on the same page with his coach, Bill Self. I hear all of that. But that dude, he looks like he's going to be special. He looks like he's going to be that dude.
Well, he goes home. Bill Self's future because of health.
So the monster. Boom, home.
Yeah. Different, though. It's interesting you bring him up. We don't have enough time for this, but it's A.J. DeMansta went to a place where it was all about him for a reason. BYU wanted that. Kansas is a little different in like, hey, we're supposed to win the title this year. We got to figure out how to put a team together. I don't think BYU is supposed to win the title. Maybe the place for the one and done like that is the BYUs and not the Kansas, as odd as that sounds. Go to the place where you're the only guy instead of one of the guys. Because if you're one of the guys and you don't succeed, we're going to look back at the season and say, what was this year for them?
I hear you on that, but there's also the matter of association with the brand. And when it comes to college basketball, you'd be hard-pressed to find better brand than Kansas.
No doubt.
And
understood.
If you're going to do it for a year, don't you want to compete? Don't you want to make sure that you're going somewhere where it matters and where you think you can win, not just a place where you're going to be the only one?
I mean, Kansas got one step further than BYU. So
they're both going home after the first weekend of the tournament.
And so are a lot of teams that are not major power conference teams. Are Cinderella's dead? We will discuss that after Smalls has this from the Wellness Company.
Look, I get it. GLP-1 weight loss shots are popular.